Okay, so welcome back, and today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the higher time frame and then the shorter time frame and look at where we've come and where we think we're going. But the discussions moving forward have all been based purely off of these two pivots, this one right here and this one right here, meaning is this the pivot for our wave 4 that we've been looking for? Or is this the pivots up here for our B wave? And we have yet to come down for our C wave for the wave 4. So it's really playing off of these two pivots. And right now it's more about understanding if this pivot right here is our B pivot, or if this is just a pullback for a wave 4. So let's go ahead and jump into it. For our bearish scenario, meaning the wave 4 is not done yet, we've been monitoring a higher time frame flat pattern. Now it still could be a W, X, and a Y, depending upon the manner of how this leg is fleshed out. Meaning if it comes down more in a three-wave move, like that, it's more likely that this is a Y wave. So currently, I'm monitoring two scenarios where this could be a 1-2, 1-2, or this is a potential diagonal forming. I think it's got better structure as a 1-2, 1-2 because both of these corrections here are flat corrections in a lower time frame, and when we think about 1-2, 1-2s, usually the second wave 2 is going to mirror the correction of the first wave 2, meaning if the first one was a zigzag, the second one likely is going to be a zigzag if this is a 1-2, 1-2. And same thing if it's flats. If it's a 1-2, 1-2, it's more likely it's a 1-2 if the first one is a flat and the second one is a flat. It just shows that it's got similar structure for the 1-2s. And we've obviously breached the territory of this pivot here up into this price action. So it's got everything going for a 1-2, 1-2 scenario right now. I can't discard a diagonal. It doesn't look the best on the futures chart, so that's why I'm not typically favoring this one. But when we talk about 1-2, 1-2s, I'm a little bit cautious on this because 1-2, 1-2s demand immediate pressure into the direction that they're building a base to. Meaning if it's a 1-2, 1-2 building a base for the upside, it's usually going to shoot up for that wave 3 and then make those wave 4s. Same thing for the downside. If it's a 1-2, 1-2 building a base for the downside, we want to see that immediate pressure to the downside. Now this is something that we've been monitoring, and once again it's all about been maintaining this as a pivot. So if we go back to, let's see, end of July, this is what we were looking for. We were looking for this zone to be tapped for a regular flat pattern, and we were going to allow just one more high. But after that, we were gonna just actually discard this count because it wouldn't have been more likely in the real time. So we actually got that rejection. We're coming down for our wave 1, and now we wanted to see that momentum come to the downside. So as of right now, we're looking for this as a wave 1. Initially, we were looking for a regular impulse, but obviously once again, since price has breached up into the price territory of this pivot, it cannot be a regular impulse any longer. It can only be a 1-2, 1-2 or a diagonal. Now, due to demanding immediate downward pressure, like I said, I'm cautious, and looking at this price action from just right here to basically ending right here, let's just draw a box. It looks like a three-wave correction. It looks like a nice three-wave correction. So considering that, if we were going to play with this being our pivot, and we're actually going to take this high, we'll have to take a look at it two different ways that we've been monitoring. Move this over here. So it's a matter of seeing this as a regular impulse or a 1 2 1 2, meaning a regular impulse, a 1 2 3 4 5, nice 5 swing structure, or a 1 2 1 2. And here's a good example of that 1 2 1 2 we were just talking about. These are both very, sharp corrections, and it breaches the territory of it really quickly. So it's a nice 1 2 1 2. And what did it do afterwards? It demanded immediate upward pressure. That's what happened. So it still has this going for it. It doesn't have the best look anymore though, because it has lost this channel. It did get accepted back into it. So I mean, we'll give it that. But personally, just given the rule of alternation, I do prefer this version, the regular impulse, because this is a nice shallow flat correction, and then we have a nice sharp zigzag correction for the wave 4. We're still maintaining price action above these pivots right here, this one and this one, which is important for these bullish counts, because if price breaches down into this, we have to ultimately discard this count. And if price breaches down into this pivot, same thing. We're going to have to ultimately discard this count because it just wouldn't make sense anymore. So we were really looking for us to hold at least to a minimum this 0.5 fib level, because at the point if we lost this and we came down further, the probability of this being a wave 4 would have decreased substantially, because not only would we breach this price territory right here, we would have lost the 0.5, and it's not typical that a wave 4 goes beyond the strength of a 0.5 fib level. So as of right now, our bullish counts are intact, and just to bring it back to, this is something that we've been highly monitoring. So taking a look here, here's our 1 2 1 2, and we've been looking for these 4s to flesh out. And same thing with these regular impulse. We've been looking for this wave 4 to be completed. So as of right now, what I would say is it's almost no man's land, meaning not sure if it's bullish overall in the higher time frame, and we're not sure if it's bearish on the higher time frame, the bearish count. So it's truly 50-50, and it's all honestly monitoring if price is going to take this low, or if it's going to take this lower high, or ultimately that higher high right there. That's really going to solidify where price wants to go. If it takes us low, in my opinion, we're definitely heading down. If it takes us high, in my opinion, we're definitely in the bullish scenario. However, we do have the ultimate no man's land count. And once again, this is just an idea. We're not really putting any weight behind this. But since we are in a wave 4, anything could happen. So this could just be a large wave 4 triangle here. Just like that. Let's go ahead and jump into the short time frame. Let's go ahead and take a look at the futures charts where we normally trade off of. Let's just go down to the 4 hour for right now. So 1 2 1 2. Actually, let's go down to 60. 1-2-1-2 is playing off of this once again as a C pivot of a B, a larger B, and we're going down for a C wave. And we're seeing this more as a 1-2-1-2. And just to kind of give more perspective on what I was saying earlier about the diagonal in the futures chart, when you try to draw a trend line here, immediately when you take in consideration this one, you're gonna have to cut through it, which is, it's difficult with diagonals, but once if you do cut through it, it does somewhat have a nice structure. But typically I want to see these pivots right here, the larger two and the second smaller two. I want to see it have a more steeper angle, and this one isn't like that. So if we were to respect this high right here, obviously it's gonna look unorthodox, and it's definitely, I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think that we would be in a expanding diagonal like this. Once again, anything's possible, but I really just don't see it. So considering that, that's why I'm favoring more the 1-2-1-2. And also when you look at the wave 2 corrections, these are flat corrections right here too. We have a B, C for an A wave, an A, B, C for a B wave, a B wave that retraced to the regular flat targets, which we can pull up right here. Right there to the 854 to the 0.9. And then we had a nice strong impulse up, 3, 3, 5. And the same thing here. There's two different ways I can see this. I could say that this could be a B, C for W, a quick X, and then an A, B, C for Y. Or if we're playing off the 1-2-1-2, we could also see it as a flat. We have an A, B, C, a 3-wave, a 3-wave, and a strong impulse. And once again, if we put on our flat targets, same thing. Went right to the 0.9 to the 0.854. So two back-to-back regular flats, which is once again a good indication for a 1-2-1-2 scenario. However, the last thing I want to point out about this is just the timing. I like the timing of these corrections. They're nice. This second correction is well respected, and it doesn't exceed the timing of the first correction, which is nice. The only thing I don't like is the timing of the impulses. Sometimes I do allow this, and I have discussed this many times in the past, especially when it comes to specifically 1-2-1-2s. And this may be one of those scenarios where we're finally getting where it kind of goes over that in real time. So once again, these corrections are nice. This one's 13 days. It's about the regular for a minute correction. It is more of a forced minor correction. And this is 9 days. It's more of a forced minute. But once again, we're talking about a 1-2-1-2 as well. So, if we're talking about a 1-2-1-2 to the downside, once again, it's demanding immediate pressure to the downside. It's not going to give time for price to really flesh out these wave 2s or do really complex sideways wave 2s. It just doesn't make sense, because at that point it would more likely just be a diagonal forming. And that's the whole kind of the narrative between 1-2-1-2s as well. Lastly, just pivoting back to what I said about the impulses, I don't like how this impulse, this minor degree impulse, was only 22 days. It's really a forced minor. And when we look at the second impulse, the minute degree impulse, it was 46 days, which is more of a minor degree. So they're kind of flip-flopped. This one is more of a timing of a correction for a minute wave, and this one is more of a timing of correction for a minor wave. So just kind of very odd and questionable. If we take another look at this, and once again, if we just really just take a look at this price action only, excluding this and excluding this, it looks like a nice 3-wave move. Kind of like we were talking about earlier, a nice 3-wave move. Let me just check the timing of it too, if we were to apply fib time. Boom, perfect, right within our C targets. It's almost perfect, really. So given that it looks like a three wave, and given that we can fit into the higher time frame narrative, this could be a ABC for the wave 4. Once again, I'm monitoring more of the regular impulse wave 4, or the regular impulse on the higher time frame, instead of the 1-2-1-2. So I'm saying that the minor wave 4 is in, and we're only going to get one more higher time frame high instead of two more higher time frame highs, and that's the difference, really. So I think really, if we're looking at this correction is completed for a minor wave 4. And if we're going to look at the smaller time frame, it's got a nice base going for it right here. And what I mean by that is the structure looks very good. We had a very nice reversal. We have nice alternation going on, meaning this is a nice flat pattern right here. Expanded flat, very shallow correction. And then when we look at the wave 4, very sharp zigzag. So nice alternation occurring. Internally, the structure is nice. Nice impulse here for the wave 3. Now, same thing. I want to see this 0.5 fib level be maintained. Even if it comes down one more time and takes us low, I just want to see this be maintained in order to have strength that this is a impulse, and we're going to take this high to complete a wave 5. Now, what I've been doing lately too is also applying the quarterly theory from day as well. So it's interesting because I can see both perspectives. Thinking of the first quarter starting as an A, or thinking the first quarter starting as an X for a reversal, because we did reverse extremely high on the higher time frame, but also we did create a nice one that shallow flat. We had a one very shallow flat, and then we moved up for our regular impulse. So this shallow flat was also a nice accumulation pattern too. So I could see both. I could see the first quarter of the year being accumulation, or the first quarter of the year being a reversal pattern. This one's a little more questionable. I can't see the second quarter being accumulation. I could see the second one being more of a manipulation. So the second quarter of the years is a little questionable considering their function, if we're trying to play off the function of the previous quarter. But overall, once we get to the third quarter, to me it definitely looks like this is probably definitely a big manipulation, or definitely part of that distribution phase. So going into the last quarter of the year here, it's either we are going to have a big distribution downward, like we were talking about with this 1-2-1-2, because it demands immediate pressure to the downside, big distribution to the downside, or this could be the wave 4 reversal here on the higher time frame, and we're going to move up to take out this higher time frame wave 3, so we can pretty much make our wave 5. So narrative fits both of them, considering, like I said, the last quarter of the year, what we want to see. Looking at just the monthly candle, we're already 2 weeks down. %50 of the data's gone, so we got 2 more weeks to go. And these first 2 weeks have been pretty interesting. Looking at this first weekly candle, look at this price action. We wicked down, came back immediately up. Same with the second candle. We wicked up and came immediately back down. So obviously, looking at this monthly candle, it's a nice doji forming because it wicked down, wicked up, and came right back down. So it's pretty interesting considering what we're seeing here. So trying to see the next 2 weeks is a little difficult because it already has a pretty good range for it. But taking consideration, once again, quarterly theory, it really does to me look like this, that the first quarter is more of a reversal. So we had a nice reversal here. Now we're accumulating in the second quarter. We'll come up to manipulate in the third quarter, and then come down. But we can look at this two ways because, if we want to see this bullish or bearish. So if I want to pull up the bearish perspective, we can say this was more of our accumulation phase. This was our manipulation phase. Now we want to see distribution down. And instead of looking at a X reversal, we're going to look at this as an X continuation phase, which fits into what we want to see for the 1-2-1-2 because it demands immediate pressure to the downside. So if we have a nice distribution to the downside, that just carries it down. Come on, there we go. Carries it down. And then in the fourth quarter, we're going to expect continuation. So overall, it's just a little bit tricky looking at price action right now. Once again, it really depends on if we're going to take the current low right now, this low, or if we're going for these lower highs and then ultimately this external higher high. So I don't know. In the short term, what can I say? Either because if we were to try to look for trade opportunities in the short term, we'd have to play off of this being completed as a C or this being completed as a 3. So meaning this is either an A, or this is the A, or this is a 1, and this is a 2, and this is a 1, and then comes another 2. So that's how I would look at it in the short term if you were trying to look for short-term trades. Personally, if it was me, I'm probably going to wait until the end of the week due to there's not really much high impact news Monday through Wednesday. And then Thursday we have unemployment and Papa Powell speaking. So we probably have some nice manipulation on Thursday that we can at least make some nice trades on post FOMC or Friday at least. So I'll probably just play off of the weekly candle, like the development of the weekly candle this week, and mainly just kind of play off of this range. Because, we did take a low here, and we did take a high here. So currently right now, this is our current dealing range. So I'll play with that basically, play with previous week's high, previous week's low, previous day's high, previous day's lows, and play off the weekly candle because it's just kind of uncertain in the higher time frame. But other than that, I'll do a midweek update like I always do, and we'll be active throughout the week. So I'll still be in the boardroom in the Discord Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and chatting it up. But I'm probably not going to be taking many trades, but if I do, I'm obviously going to share them beforehand and my thought process. But tomorrow, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. We'll go over Bitcoin. So If anybody has any questions for me regarding ES, go ahead and let me know. If you have any questions for Bitcoin before we go over it, definitely just hit me up. I'm always happy to give my 2 cents. But hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for hanging out.